Hi everyone, and welcome back to this Ayurveda workshop. So now we're going to speak about the diet. I'm going to first talk about the Ayurvedic diet and then the Sattvic diet because these are two different things. So in Ayurveda, we adjust the diet according to the doshas that we've spoken about. In your book on page 29, you're going to find a food guideline. Yeah, this is the actual Ayurvedic diet. So this is the diet that you can use, or food guidelines that you can use to balance your doshas. So there's a list of no and yes foods for each dosha, and then you can play with this in order to balance your doshas if you know that you have a dosha imbalance. And to know if you have a dosha imbalance, I invite you to watch the video that is dedicated specifically to the doshas. So we're going to talk now about what kind of general specific diet is meant for each dosha, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So the Vata dosha, the qualities of Vata dosha is that it is cool, it is dry, it is light. So these are the qualities of this dosha. So logically, we want to bring in foods that are counterbalancing these forces. So we're going to bring in foods that are warm, moist, or oily, dense, and grounding. Yeah, Vata dosha tends to be usually cold, so a warm and dry. Yeah, remember the elements of Vata is air and ether. So there's a lot of air element in Vata. So people who have a higher dominance of Vata in their birth constitution, they tend to have more of these colder and airy, light qualities. So we want to bring in these kind of foods. Yeah, warm, moist, oily, dense, and grounding. Let's talk now about the Pitta dosha. So the Pitta dosha, remember the elements of Pitta dosha are water and fire. So the qualities of Pitta dosha is, of course, hot, the fire element. It is liquid. It has water into it. And then we have also oily. It also has oily quality due to the water element, and light. So same as Vata, it has also some lightness. And Pitta dominant people tend to also burn a lot more. So their metabolism is quite high. So they need also more dense food such as Vata. So we want to bring in foods that counterbalance these qualities. So we want cold food. We want dry. We want to bring like dry foods in to counterbalance the watery qualities. And we want something dense. Yeah, we need something grounding also. Yeah, Pitta dominant people tend to be a bit all over the place, so we need something to ground them. Yeah, so these are kind of the qualities of the foods that we want to bring into the Pitta diet. And mild, of course, mild because we want to counterbalance that heat that is naturally present with Pitta dominant dosha. Okay, so this is the Pitta. Next for Kapha. So remember the elements of Kapha are water and earth. So this is the most earthy and grounded dosha of all the three doshas. So the general quality of Kapha is that it's more heavy, it's dense and heavy. It is cold also. It has some cold qualities such as Vata. Oily, same as Pitta here because of the water element. And yeah, and that's it. So let's bring in some foods that help to counterbalance these qualities. So we want to bring in foods that are light and airy. Yeah, we want to focus more on light and airy foods over dense food. And then we want to bring in also some warm foods to counterbalance the cold, dry to counterbalance the oily. And yes, that's it. Yeah, so light, airy, warm, and dry. So this is the Ayurvedic diet, when we know that we have a dosha imbalance and that we want to counterbalance the dosha imbalance. Okay, so next, let me talk about the sattvic diet. So the sattvic diet is when we tend towards the sattva guna. If you haven't watched the video on the gunas yet, I invite you to watch it. So the sattvic diet is really the one that we want to privilege focus on if we want, if we are on a yogic path, yeah? If you want to tend towards the state of harmony and balance, which is the sattvic state. So typical sattvic food, there is a top 3 of sattvic food is honey, ghee, and lemon. This is like the top 3 of sattvic food that you can try and implement more and more in your diet if you want, if that's your goal. Honey, because it has so high, so these are considered in Ayurveda to be the foods that hold the highest level of prana. Yeah, the highest level of prana. So what it means is that it is so high in prana, so high in nutrients and antioxidants that it doesn't perish so fast, yeah? Especially honey, they have found honey in Egyptian tombs that have survived over thousands of years and that were still ready to be eaten. So that's how rich in prana honey is, and we know that it has many other benefits, but it's very rich in prana and antioxidants. Ghee is the same. Ghee is the clarified butter, and it's the same. It is so high in prana that you don't have to store it in the fridge. You can leave it on the shelf, and it has a very long shelf life. And it has very important benefits according to Ayurveda. Lemon perishes, but it has also this high level of prana, high level of vitamins and nutrients and antioxidants. So that's why it's considered like one of the top 3 sattvic foods, and it is also used for preserving food, and cooking food. So it's a very interesting high sattvic food. Other typical sattvic foods are, of course, fruits and vegetables, everything fresh and whole. Basmati rice, quinoa is also considered sattvic. Dates are very good for rejuvenating the nervous system, hold also very high sattvic qualities. Other foods or spices can be turmeric, cardamom, ginger, cumin are considered sattvic. Milk is also considered sattvic in the sense that in India, of course, the milk is produced by cows and that cows are considered holy in India. So it is also used for high prana purposes in Ayurveda. So this is just to give you a general idea of how the sattvic diet looks like. It's beyond the Ayurvedic diet. Once you have reached that state of balance in your doshas, you can choose to implement more and more of these like high in prana, whole living foods to support your yogic journey. I hope you enjoyed this workshop, and I see you on the next one.